Hello and welcome to the Guitar Hang Podcast. I'm your host, John Stancorb. Well, it's Season 9, Episode 6, and we sit down with the legendary Martin Barre, the iconic guitarist best known for his decades of groundbreaking work with Jethro Tull and his powerful project, the Martin Barre Band. From crafting some of the most memorable guitar tones in rock history to redefining progressive and blues-inspired guitar playing, Martin shares his journey, insights, and stories from the road. We dive into his creative process, the making of classic Tull albums like Aqualung, Thick as a Brick, and Benefit, his approach to tone and technique, and how he continues to evolve as a musician and a performer. Whether you're a fan of classic rock, intricate guitar work, or timeless songwriting, this conversation is a masterclass in music artistry. So let's tune in to Martin Barre.
Third, fifth, seventh, the sort of basic rules of music that work because they have for hundreds of years, but you try and do something a little bit left of centre just because you feel a bit adventurous, and you can fall flat on your face, or you come up with something that, wow, yeah, that works. And I've written things. I wrote something that Ian actually said, you can't use that chord there. It's a piece of music I wrote, and I played it to him because it was on a Christmas album. And he said, well, you need to change that chord. And I listened and examined it. And I thought, I really don't. It doesn't go where you predict it to go, but it sort of, it knocks you to the side a bit, and you've got to go, whoa, get your balance again, and then you're back on 2 feet. But you go, oh wow, that was different. You've got to stick your neck out in music. It's to follow the safe, well-trodden path. It isn't always the most exciting way to go.
Yeah, the influence of being a flautist, and as far as the way that informed your guitar playing in the beginning, was that something that was were they both evolving at roughly the same rate in terms of your connectedness to?
Unfortunately not, because I started guitar when I was 14, and then you mentioned sort of Barney Kessel and Wes Montgomery and Jimmy Smith, all those jazz albums that my dad gave me, and I didn't want to play jazz guitar at all. I didn't like jazz. I wanted to be Hank Marvin. But I like the flute players. I love the tonality of the flute, and I thought it's a very pretty, beautiful, expressive instrument. So when I was a year later, I saved up money, and I got a flute in Birmingham. So I was 15, and they sort of went hand in hand, and it's like looking at the same world, but from different sides, because essentially what's easy to play on a flute could be really difficult on a guitar, and vice versa. So you've got these two different approaches, and I think they complement each other. Well, obviously they do, because all instruments work together, but it's quite nice having a sort of two-handed approach to learning music. So I loved playing the flute. And then I met Ian. Now, of course, when I met Ian, there were 4 flautists in rock music. One was in the Moody Blues, right. And God bless him, he was rubbish. One was in come on, I just thought of it, Stevie Winwood, Traffic. Chris Wood.
Traffic, yeah.
He was a good player, but quite straightforward. Somebody had given me Roland Kirk records. I thought, well, that's cool, because it's like rock guitar on the flute. So I took to playing in that style. And then one day in '68, somebody said, oh, there's a guy out there, he's playing like you. I'm going, really? Yeah, he's a flute player. And he plays in the Roland Kirk style as well. And I'm like, that's my territory, back off. So we knew of each other. and then eventually we did a gig together funnily enough, near where I live now in Plymouth.
Yeah.
But you know, it wasn't that there was um, no friction. It was nice because we had a lot to talk about. You know, we had something in common with only two guys in England playing blues flute, and there was room for both of us. So that's how I met Ian, and eventually got into Jethro Tull through that connection. But when I joined Tull, I played a lot of flute. We had what we called a flute battle on stage, where it was like very indulgent, free improvised flute solos, and me and him sort of bouncing off each other. It was a lot of fun, and the audience loved it. But the management, being astute as they are in their managerial manner, thought, you know, this brand needs a flute player, you know, and not two. So I was like, "You're out of here, buddy." So, which is fine, but it meant that I played. I pretty well stopped playing flute for 10 years maybe, and then slowly started playing when Ian had written songs like Fat Man, where he played mandolin and flute, and so I was able to play the flute parts, and sort of slowly got to play a little bit more. And then when Tull finished, I mean, it was like opening the floodgates, because I rediscovered my love of the flute. And then COVID hit, and I thought, this is great. And I didn't think it was great. I thought, you know, I've got a lot of time. So I went and bought a nice new alto flute.
Right.
And I played and I played and I played. And yeah, it was a rediscovery of a wonderful instrument. So now it's on my kitchen table, and there's a guitar around the corner, and every day I play them both. Every day. Yeah, and I love it. I love it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Are you somebody that's as likely to pick up the flute as you are the acoustic, and work on, you know, maybe some classical stuff, or maybe some altered tuning,
Right.
guitar, whatever
The
it might
answer
lead you?
is classical. No, I'm not good enough. Although I'd love to be good enough. I know I love to go and see an orchestra, and I'm glued to the flute players. You know, usually two or three. I'm like glued to every note they play. That's my regret, is that if I could go back to being 14, I'd learn flute and try and be good enough to be in an orchestra, because it's a thing of beauty. Oh God, I've just forgotten the other side of the question.
Oh, like picking up the
Oh, right,
acoustic
auto-tuning.
guitar and
Yeah,
playing
the
altered tuning
Beelzebub.
things, or maybe some.
What tuning do you play? Beelzebub, the devil. When somebody says, I've got a song," I said, "Oh, okay, play it, and I'll figure it out." And it's like this weird tuning, and the chords. You know, they've got two fingers on the fretboard, and I'm going, "What chord is that?" And they're like, "I don't
Right.
know, I don't know." Yeah, it's an open tuning,
I
and
don't know.
people just
Right.
put
Yeah.
their fingers anywhere they like, and it really annoys me. I really hate it.
Right.
It's the one thing that gets me going, as you can tell. So yeah, I've maybe dropped the low E string to a D once or twice, but there's two reasons I find it annoying. I'm quite a purist in the fact that if my guitar falls over and breaks into three pieces, somebody can hand me a guitar and I can play everything I know. But if I've written something in drop D
Right.
and then an open E and then an open G, that there's three guitars I need, or I'm going to spend half an hour tuning them while the audience falls asleep.
Right.
So I'm not. I love the sound of it, but it's not
Yeah.
for me. I don't want to do it. If whatever I want to do in music, it's going to be
Right.
concert tuning. Those are my parameters, and it's not restrictive in the
Right.
slightest. But that's the way I deal with it. I don't want to deal with
Yeah.
tuning up on stage. Is something to be avoided at all costs, preferably by being in tune all the time. But the amount
Yeah.
of people I've gone to see, and half the gig is retuning their guitars. I'm like, come on, either buy a few guitars.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to do that, you need a few guitars, not one. And music's a
Right.
continuous experience. Can you imagine the London Philharmonic stopping in the middle of a piece by Beethoven because, well, I'm going down the wrong street. But imagine that somebody has to retune an instrument into a different tuning. So, hang on, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be as quick
Right.
as I can. No.
Yeah, I guess I guess the most extreme case would be somebody like Joni Mitchell, who's got hundreds of
Mm,
tunings, and apparently she would have a piece of tape on the headstock of her guitar,
mm,
and the first thing that would be written is like A,
mm.
and then it would have a series of like 5 numbers, and that would tell
Yeah,
you if the sixth string was tuned to
right.
A, the next number is a 5,
Yeah.
hold down the fifth fret and tune that to
It's
the
a
next
nightmare.
string. And then, yeah. The other thing I was curious about when you have such a body of work when you're putting together a set list for your band, do you do you find that
Oh, yeah.
that's helpful to be able to draw from having so many tunes, or do you find that there's things that you would just rather avoid getting
Oh,
into the set
no.
list because
No,
for whatever
I
the arrangements of things? I'm kind of curious what you draw from the most as far as
yeah.
when you're putting together your set
My
list
band
of
can
the
play
classic
everything
seminal
that Tull ever did,
Jethro Tull
and I'm
tunes.
very proud of that. And we don't have keyboards. I mean, mainly we're just two guitar players, bass and drums. We can play anything, and we have, and so there's no restrictions. And I guess it's the one good thing about being a boss is that if I hear an old track, I think, oh, I can rejiggle that and make that work.
Yeah,
Then I've got the luxury of doing it. So I mean, we probably got, I
right.
mean, 4 hours of music, probably more. I mean, used to make lists of everything we've ever done, but it's
Yeah.
immense, and I love the ability that we can play any tune that grabs me, and I sort of go back and listen to stuff, or somebody say, "Have you ever thought of playing that?" And I go, "Oh, right, yeah, I remember that one." And I go and revisit it and think, "Okay, yeah, it's a great song. How can I represent that song the way my band works?" And arranging and rearranging is one of the great pleasures of life. I mean, I love arranging, and I love working out everybody else's
Oh, absolutely.
parts. Um, it's the best thing on the planet. Yeah, I love to be able to do it, and I don't have any restrictions whatsoever.
It's beautiful because it breathes new life into things, and it
Yeah,
makes
well, I
you
mean,
feel it,
yeah,
it allows you to be very artistic and creative and play to the band's strengths without the feeling of, okay, this is the way the band is used, or the way the audience is used to hearing things. Let's take them on a journey where let's reimagine these things in a way that
yeah. I mean, some
you know
things
is
work, and some
very
people go,
powerful
"Wow, that
for your
sounds great.
lineup.
I never imagined it sounding like that." And I mean, like "Sweet Dream," we play, but I rewrote the riff so that it moves a half beat, so all the downbeats are off beats,
Yeah.
and and it works. And people think, "Oh, that's cool." Um, but I mean, it's not guaranteed to work, and there's been a few things where I go, "Well, nice try, but you know what? It's probably best left alone." I don't think that, as I said earlier, that there are no rules about anything. If there were
Right.
rules, life would be totally boring. So
Right.
I've got the freedom. I'm in a
Yeah.
position where I can experiment, and that's a real pleasure to be able to do that. I never had that in Tull. It was very regimented, and then towards the end, it was very much a decision. I mean, in the early days, going into the end of the 1990s, me and Ian would get together before a tour, and we would discuss the production, the music we're going to play, what should we learn to play in this one, how are we going to change it, and it was nice to do. The travel arrangements, it's all part of the life of being a musician, and it can all be fun. We've got a day off. What should we do? Oh, we're near a national park. Let's go and hire a van and get whatever you do. You've got to make life easy and fun. You can do things the hard way or the fun way, and I'm a fun guy. And he used to work in Tull, but then I think Ian's range uh, changed. So he wasn't comfortable doing all the songs, and as that sort of changed more and more, I was never involved in any of it, to the point where we're told we're going back doing the same tour. So same, no
Right.
production, no change in the set list, and I'm like, oh, okay. And every time we do a American tour, uh, uh, I have to change it, because I imagine myself being in the audience, and at the end of the gig, whether they think it's the best gig they've ever seen in their life or not,
Right.
I don't want them to think, oh yeah, that was great, yeah, pretty well the same as what they did last year. No, no, that's not me. I just want a few things. It doesn't have to be
Right.
a huge movement, but just something where people go, whoa, haven't heard that in years, or wow, never heard that played that way. I just want people to
Yeah.
be part of the process of movement, going in a musical direction. Don't know where. It might be good, it might be bad, it might work, it might not.
Yeah.
But they're involved as well, because if I try something a little bit
Yeah.
radical, if they don't like it, it's finished. But if you don't try, then why?
Yeah. It seems like with the legacy bands, you have the two, oftentimes two creative folks that are evolving and going in different directions and different trajectories and have just a difference in the way that they would like to present the music. So you have a situation like with you and Ian, or not unlike what David Gilmour and Roger Waters have with Pink Floyd. There's a body of work that they represent, but they're going to do it in two completely different ways, and it both serves their needs. But for the audiences, we're getting to hear different representations of these things and different sonically. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, because it's for a younger person thinking that a band is going to stay together forever ad infinitum and play the. It's almost like a prison if you're in a situation where there's no creativity and you're just doing the same
Yeah,
thing
there has to be
year
growth.
after
You
year. It's
you,
got to be
you
very
can't do
difficult
Groundhog
to
Day.
find growth inside
Yeah,
that.
and it's good. It's healthy. I don't know what Ian's doing. I've got no idea, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. And I'm so, if I say I'm not interested, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean it in a way that it would be as relevant as me asking what Roger Waters is doing. It's not my world. My world is complete and full and committed, and it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
needy of
Yeah.
anything. So whatever happens outside of it, unless it affects me directly, which I don't know what Ian's it, but it doesn't. It's gone in a totally different direction, and I wish him the best. And I don't think we have much in common musically at all, which is good, because it means fans can see both shows and enjoy them both, and good for them.
Right.
Everybody has that freedom and choice to do whatever they want to
Right.
do.
Yeah, and the kind of growth that you're experiencing, it allows you
Mm.
to bring something exciting and fresh when you do get called to be a guest soloist recording, or if you're writing your own material, you're still evolving as a musician and bringing other colors and flavors into things that are really true to what you I don't what your artistic vision is. I think that it for folks that haven't been in your situation, they don't realize
Yeah.
how difficult it is to move all those personalities in the same direction, because I don't know who it was that said every band is
Yeah.
in the middle of some sort of breakup at all times because there's always tumult.
It sounds weird,
Yeah.
really. Yeah, don't come round for dinner. Um, and not saying you have an imperfect one, but for a marriage to work, it's as you say, there's ups and downs. That things go wrong. They have to go wrong. That's what life is like. And yeah, it's about compromise. It's about listening as much as you talk. And I hope that I've learnt to be a reasonable band leader, and sometimes it's by watching other people make mistakes, so I avoid them, and also working outside of what I do. I do anything and everything um, outside of the Martin Barre Band because it's a challenge, and I really enjoy it. I really being put on the spot, and so I get sent a piece of music and they say, can you um, uh, put some parts on this? And I go, okay. Have I got freedom, complete freedom with it? Yeah, of course you do. And I'm like, okay, and I've got my sort of formula, and it's sort of a bit of a go-to formula where it's always mandolins, flutes, electric guitar, classical guitar. I mean, all these, and it's like giving me free reign. Really, it's like Christmas to me. But I just love all that freedom. But yeah, people, you've got to understand people, and sometimes I meet people that they do things to me, and I'm like, I'm nearly 79, and I've never had that happen to me, and how could I not see that coming? And people amaze you in a bad way, um, that they're evil or negative, or unfortunately, the trend seems to be that that's what affects you. Good people you acknowledge, and you take them on board. But when something bad happens, it really hits you. It sort of knocks you off the tracks, and it hurts. And you think, well, at my age, I should be over that. I've had everything, but yet I can be really hurt, and I wouldn't say that's a good thing. I'm just amazed that people still surprise me, because I thought I'd seen every pattern of behaviour, every category of person that exists on the planet. I've met them, but obviously not. Obviously not. So yeah, do you grow old and wise? I don't think you do, because it's not just you. You have to consider you might be wise about yourself,
Yeah.
and it's probably not correct, but you're set in your ways. That's for sure. But people, the world changes, and I'm not necessarily changing with it. I'm old-fashioned. I like vinyl. Um, I don't spend half my life on the phone, on the internet. I'm terrible at YouTube and Facebook and all these medias. I'm rubbish, but there's nothing in me that wants to be good at it. I'm okay. I'll stay. I work with what I've got, and the day that it stops working, people stop buying my latest CD because they got nothing to play on, or then I go, Okay, that's fine. I understand it. Either I've got to change, or I've just got to roll with it. And for now, I'm rolling with it because the one thing that doesn't change is music. You can learn a piece of music, you can write a piece of music, you can play a piece of music, and it has no
Right.
labels or time stamp on it. It's just completely free of all of those elements. And as long as I've got that, I'm a happy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there there seems to be these new releases of remixes that Steven Wilson has done. Is that
You know,
something that's
I-
intriguing or interesting to hear some of these
I'm a
things that
big
are
fan of him as a musician and Porcupine Tree
remastered,
and
remixed,
everything he does,
Atmos,
but I
surround?
don't listen to the remixes. I'm ever so sorry to say that. And if that everything can benefit
Right.
from being, I don't know what the right word, not digitalized, but that there's farts and burps and hisses, things that detract from the music, and so it can be enhanced. And I know he does an amazing job, and I hear great things, but I don't know. Um, I've got recordings of Elgar by by I've forgotten the conductor, um, Woods, Henry Woods, and they're beautiful. That it's the same piece of music you could go and buy um, as a digital download by another orchestra recorded in however many bit digital stereo surround sound, but I can play that mono recording made in the 30s or the 40s, and it's beautiful, and it's just a it's just an interpretation of a wonderful piece of music, and um, it'll stand forever. It doesn't need to be remixed or stereofied, with the bass drum in one channel and snare drum in the next. It's mono, but life can be mono. Not everything's stereo and digital and hiss free. I've got horrendous tinnitus, so everything has hiss. In my world, I live in the 24 hours of hiss, which is a nightmare, but I get on with it. So I don't live in a perfect world, but maybe
Yeah.
that suits me. Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I have to
Yeah.
have no. I
Yeah.
have
I've
to
got
have
the
a
same in
fan
my
on at night
right
for the
ear.
noise, not for the air,
The
and I have to have
constant.
a noise machine to sort of equalize. Yeah, it's horrible, but there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Right. Oh wow, yeah, cool.
Yeah. My buddy and bandmate Mike Keneally plays guitar.
Mm,
He's referred me to. We're rehearsing in Simi Valley, and he's got these new hearing aids that he
yeah.
is trying to get. And my wife is like, "Please, won't you get them? Because I'm kind of tired of you having the TV up too loud." And
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at
Well,
trying
they do,
some
and
of those
I've
because
got the
he
best
said
ones
he's
you can
got it in
get
both ears, and he said
because
the hearing
when I
aids
went
have
for a
really helped
test, the
kind of
girl
quell that thing.
at the place that did hearing aids said, "What music do you want to hear?" I said, "Oh, yeah, Mozart,
Yeah,
clarinet concerto." And so she finds it and she says, and she plays it. She says, "Right, now put your hearing aids in." She'd done the tests and she'd adjusted them for my hearing, and I cried um, because I'm still emotional because I couldn't believe what I hadn't heard in this music, uh, and I was in tears, and like, yeah, I'll have them.
Yeah.
got home. But of course, what happens with mine is that when you play a note, it modulates.
Yeah.
You're amplifying something unnaturally. So it works with conversation, but that it was in the days where, well, I don't know if it was 8 track or 16. I
Yeah.
think it was 8 track. So it was very um, simple way of recording. There was no manufacturing of that music. It was as it was, but it was. We had confidence from stand up. We had confidence from successful American tours. We were growing musically and growing as personalities in confidence and discovering ourselves and being happy with what we were. So we were in a really good place. There was a future, we hoped, as long as the fans liked what we did. We were enjoying playing, we were discovering technique, sounds, instruments. It was full of positivity, and yeah, and good songs, I think. But I just remember how I felt more than anything. It had the longevity, and that didn't really apply to us. Yeah, but it didn't matter. We were lucky. We counted our blessings every single year, every month, because we were blessed with amazing fans, and I mean, particularly playing in America. I have to be careful,
Yeah.
but America was vital to Jethro Tull, and the way people accepted and wanted to hear music and wanted experimentation and were prepared
Yeah.
to go with the music, uh, made it all possible in another, maybe in the UK or in Europe or in Japan, that it would have fallen flat and you go, oh no, we only like the old Jethro Tull, we don't like this new album, bye bye. Bye bye. It's America has been that place where they
Yeah.
say, come on, show us what you got,
Right.
and if they don't like it, they're going to tell you. But if they do like it, also they're going to tell you. But they'll listen. They're not going to dismiss it without giving it a fighting chance. And that was exactly our mode. We wanted to push boundaries uh, and have that freedom. And America enabled us to do that.
In that period of time, in any given week, we would hear on the radio, our local radio station, new album by Jethro Tull. We're going to be playing a new track on Sunday evening,
Yeah,
and so
look
you
at you.
wait for that, and there was, in England you had Top of the Pops and things like that. Here in the States, you had Don Kirshner's rock concert. There was a couple of Saturday Night Live, maybe, but as a young kid, you're not seeing the bands. But I would have all the magazines, so I would see some photos of your Boston show or New York show, but just waiting to go experience that because in the days prior to MTV and the internet and all that kind of stuff, a rock concert was there was nothing quite as big in anybody's life than it was the biggest. It was like a tribal event, and you could kind of see it happening as the kids would at 6 o'clock
Mm,
at night start to descend upon the stadium or the in my case Cincinnati's Riverfront Coliseum to go see Jethro Tull on the Bursting Out tour, you know.
yeah.
But it was such a big, exciting thing, and then the band takes the stage.
Mm,
There's nothing that you. It changed your life forever, and it's for the handful of us that have been able to make a career playing music. It's such a treat. But those
yeah.
concerts were just
Yeah.
vital. Pink
Yeah.
Floyd, Jethro Tull, Led Zeppelin. It's funny to hear that a family member would come to you and say, "Was it your son that said, have you heard of Jimi
Mm,
Hendrix?" But on the other hand, it's kind of like, if you were to find an old snapshot of you and Jimmy Page hanging out at the studio, or you and whomever, Steve Howe maybe running into each other in Devon.
So it's a level playing field. You haven't got to impress them or say, "Oh, do you know how many albums we sold last year?" It's about, yeah, how you doing? It's nice because you don't have to embrace any of that. I've been really lucky, and I've been on both sides. I go to concerts, and I love it. I love that anticipation. When they're going to come on? It's supposed to be on 5 minutes ago. Come on! And I get both sides of it. And I went to see Billy Strings 3 weeks ago, and I was blown away. And I'm going around, have you heard of Billy Strings? No. So you need to buy a record. It's one of the best things on the planet.
Oh, wow.
And, but the fact I can be blown away by music at 79, hooray. Yeah, right. That makes me happy. And and it made me happy to see that band of virtuosos, mandolin player, fiddle player.
Absolutely.
Whoa, they're just off the scale, and I loved every minute of it. Of course, everybody's so open-minded. I mean, to play like that, you've got to have a very broad mind, and good for him. Yeah. That's all strength for him, and it's great. It's great. It's a great thing that music can move an audience to that degree. So the Albert Hall in London, he blew the roof off, and I'm not saying that lightly. He blew the roof off that place, and I'm in awe of it, because I was on that stage playing there, doing what he did, and not as good, I hasten to add. Yeah. But I was doing that 40 years ago, and I can't quite remember what it was like being on stage, but I understand what you're doing, and I understand the pleasure you're getting from being there and being in that environment.
Perfect.
You've made my evening. Thank you so much.
What a pleasure.
Yeah. Say hi to Mike Keneally.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. You take care.
Well, that wraps up Season 9, Episode 6 of the Guitar Hang podcast, featuring the incomparable Martin Barre. A huge thanks to Martin for sharing his wisdom, humor, and decades of experience, and reminding us all why our passion and curiosity should keep the music alive. Be sure to check out the Martin Barre Band on tour and explore Martin's latest releases to hear the evolution of one of rock's most distinctive guitar voices. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the Guitar Hang podcast with your fellow musicians and music lovers. And we'll see you next time on the Guitar Hang podcast.